Okay, so this video is going to be talking about confronting yourself, right? Let's get into it. You know, I don't know if you've ever been in a fight, right? Like in a real fisticuff, bang, bang, boom, boom, bing, bing, you know what I'm saying? It's kerfuffle, scuffle. I don't know if you've ever been in one of them guys, right? But I have. That's not to brag or boast because I would have never gotten in a fight in my life. But I've been in a few, more than a few. And in each fight, one thing you learn is that the individual who's the most aggressive is not always going to be the winner. The individual who is usually, oftentimes, going to be the winner is the individual who has the most self control, who does not allow his circumstances or his emotions specifically to become invested into a point where he loses all self control. Now, I know we've been conditioned to believe that losing all control is power. I get mad and I see red. What that person is telling you is, I lack self control. I get mad and I let my emotions get the best of me to the point that my actions are unpredictable and therefore out of my control. What that person is truly telling you, and this may hurt some people, but it's a true statement. And if we are to continue to grow Renaissance Nation style, damn, I think I might have scratched too hard on the scalp just then. Might be. Anyway, if we are to continue to grow Renaissance Nation style, then that means that we have to confront hard truths. And the hard truth is that some people, the people who lose all of that sense of self control, are weaker. Not because they are actually weak, but because they have not learned a certain wisdom, which would fortify their integrity and prevent them from even interacting too deep with the type of individual who would get you to the point, or the type of circumstance which would get you to the point of losing self control. That is to say, if you lose your top anytime something gets unreasonable, I'm going to tell you that you're in your greatest state of ignorance, because nothing is unreasonable. If things are unreasonable, they can't happen. I know, I know. What do you mean by that? That's impossible. Unreasonable things happen all the time. Yeah. When you say reason, oftentimes you're speaking from your ego. You're not actually speaking from the deeper parts of your subconscious mind. You're speaking from what you have consciously internalized to be the term unreasonable. Every time I say that word, unreasonable, 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 what's happening is being accepted into your mind. And then everything that you have termed at any point in time from your experiences as unreasonable, the way that that made you feel, and the way that that situation played itself out, and your perception on that situation, all combined to create your association with that word unreasonable. Now, is that the true definition of unreasonable? No. The true definition of unreasonable is something that defies reason. The thing is, you live in a dualistic universe. So there is no reason. Tell me, name someone who knows the reason for creation and can absolutely say that. There isn't a person who can truly know the reason for creation. Why are things the way they are? Shit's crazy. Yeah, there's an infinite amount of reasons. Someone could say it's this, that, all these things. Are any of them more or less true? No. All of them are both true and false, depending on the view we view them from. So this is what I mean. I say this to say The perspective that you're viewing the circumstance from is why you're losing control. And you're viewing the circumstance from a lower consciousness perspective. You're not seeing the bigger picture. The goal of the individual is to raise and expand their personal viewpoint to the point where they can encapsulate and can see the bigger picture in the moment. We know people like this. All of us know these people who nothing can affect them. They're like rocks. We don't know why they're like that. And we admire those things about them. But the truth is, they have a more expanded viewpoint on circumstances and situations. And the reason why they have that is various reasons, but to some degree, they have confronted themselves. They have confronted those parts of themselves that they call bad, that they call ugly and unsightful, ungodly, and horrid. They've confronted those parts of themselves to the point that when those types of things, the ugly, the bad, the horrid, terrible, the whatever verbiage you want to use, asserts itself in their reality, they can see and understand, oftentimes unconsciously, just like how you breathe unconsciously, but you still do it. They oftentimes unconsciously function off of a certain type of thought process like this, where they can say, well, you live and you learn, or, well, I guess that's just what happens. Oh, well, no use in complaining about it. Well, I guess good for next time. Great for the vote. Like this type of attitude of just letting whatever happens wash over them is a habit. And a habit is a conditioned action, a conditioned way of action. So you have effective habits and non-effective habits. That's an effective habit. It's an effective habit, one of many effective habits. It's a certain type of mindset. I'll call it the winner's mindset. They win at life because they know that life is not reasonable. Life isn't reasonable. You positively cannot reason why things happen to you. Try and watch how you waste your life away looking for an answer that'll never come. You can't reason these things. You legitimately can't. Because if you try to sit down and go line for line why the author wrote this statement in the book and made this character do this thing, you're going to go crazy. Even if you talk to the author doesn't fully know. It just fit into the story. Interview an author, read or watch a video producer's or a content producer's idea about things. Inspiration, and for me as an artist, inspiration comes in the form it comes in. If I try to reason out why it's that way, then I lost the inspiration. I lost the train or the flow of the inspiration. That's because reason is something we do as a coping mechanism because we have not confronted the unknown. We have not confronted those things that we are afraid of, that we don't understand. We have not confronted the great unknown of so-called what we call death. We have not confronted these parts of our existence. Yet we know that they are coming. We know that they are impending. We know that they exist. But we just go on day by day acting as if we're safe or acting as if they don't exist, when we positively know at our core that they do. So when you really know your mortality, when you really understand the finiteness of your existence, you're not finna be wasting energy on anything that doesn't truly fulfill you, because you ball till you fall, and when you fall, that's it. I know some people may believe in a heaven or a hell. Some people may believe in different realms you travel to, and I don't not believe anything. I'm going beyond belief into just experientially. We go from one type of sleep to the next. Whereas we used to sleep, deep sleep, if we couldn't get a deep sleep, could get a deep sleep, on the planet Earth, when we're no longer in the way that we perceive our body, we're just still in sleep. We're in a sleep, a state of sleep. You can say whatever that. I mean, even now we're in a state of sleep. That's game for your brain, though. That's real, real, real. Tunes for your top. We're in a sleep. You can only ever be dreaming. Oh, that's this game. That's Patreon game though. That's Patreon game though. And that's good. Keep dreaming, but you also need to balance that out with rest. And what I'm saying is we need to rest more into the parts of us that society can't see, parts of us that people can't see, parts of us that we keep hidden away. We have to confront those things, right? We got to confront our demons. And the way we do that is by intending to understand them. Intend to understand your demons and then watch how and you transmute this. This is how you do this. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to transmute the belief that they're demons into the understanding that they are lessons, not demons. We call them demons because they're hidden and they seem scary when they poke their head out. But they're poking their head out because they're looking for food. The same way a dog can be a vicious animal, and the same species and breed of dog can be the most loving house dog. It's all about the conditions that we apply, the lens we apply on the way things are, the perspective we view the thing from that determines how the thing manifests. And that's deeper game for you too, letting you know that your mind rules this shit. It is the ruler of this shit. The mind is the ruler of this shit. If it wasn't any other way, everything wouldn't be connected the way it is. Everything would cease to function. And there's deeper ways to experience what I just stated, but we're not talking about that right now. Right now, what we're talking about is confronting yourself. Just truly one-on-one looking yourself in the mirror without judgment of who you should and shouldn't be. But the reason why that's hard is because we judge ourselves off of not our conditions. If we can condition ourselves, we wouldn't judge ourselves. We judge ourselves from the conditions that people impress upon us. Because a part of, and I'm making a video on this, I wrote the title and I thought it was a great title, is Suggestion, Hypnosis, and Brainwashing. We are very deeply suggested, lulled into the belief that certain things are more valuable than others, that certain things will give us fulfillment. And I'm going against that and saying, like many other people have done in the past and will do in the future, the truth, which is that you positively cannot get fulfillment from anything except for fulfilling action. Fulfilling action gives you fulfillment. Fulfilling action is action that produces growth. Action that when you act on it puts you in a semi-uncomfortable, controlled, oftentimes, yet uncomfortable predicament and environment that forces you to adapt. Because we are in a game, a simulation of survival of the fittest. It's always been this way. So if you're not fit, you're not gonna make the fucking cut. Sorry, we gonna make another nigga who's more fit, and that's the world that we're in, and that's a beautiful thing because it allows you to build your wealth or your worth instead of having to innate out the gate have it. You have to build it. It's a self-effort based system. So the more you work for yourself, the better your predicament becomes innately. Because the moment you start to work on yourself, the moment you start to grow. And the thing that is most valuable to the world is your growth. So your growth equates to a value in actual dollars and cents. So the better and faster and the more streamlined your growth, the more efficient your process to grow, the more effectively you can subject yourself to things that are fulfilling and therefore induce growth in you, is the more of a rate at which you can accumulate those things which you are naturally inborn supposed to accumulate: prosperity, success, love, love in relationships, and just general happiness. You can't get that until you confront that part of you keep pushing down, you keep running away from, subconsciously, subtly, subtle way. The way the mind works is subtle. It's subtle because it can trick the ego. It can trick you into believing that it's another thing functioning, but reality is just your own mind functioning. And that's real game. And that's deep. You have to watch for what you think and then the ensuing action that comes, and analyze the action and the quality of the action, and ask yourself, is this, was this, should this, can this, should this have been this way? What would have happened if I did something different? What can I change for the next time? Instead of condemning yourself and holding yourself to one thing, your actions, past action, the past is dead. The future no longer is not exist yet. The future is right now. So in the present moment, you're making the future. So you need to just focus on the present moment and bring yourself back to a state of presentness. And when you do that, by sitting with yourself and watching how all of what you say you are in your mind, all the thoughts, if you just sit long enough, disintegrate. And they have no real existence except for the fact that you are consciously or unconsciously willing them to be there by continuously thinking about them. And when you sit in that place and you've cultivated over time the ability to just be silent in your mind, then you can truly rest. When you can truly rest, you can truly gather life into you. And when you can truly gather life into you, then you have the energy to go about growing and changing yourself. But until you learn how to rest, you truly can't even gather the energy you need to be able to grow. So what I'm saying sounds impossible. So we're all about, over here at Renaissance Nation, we're all about learning the technique to be able to rest, so that when we rest, then we truly rejuvenate. And when we truly rejuvenate, then we can take all of these forces that we've rejuvenated and apply them at that day for the fulfillment, towards fulfilling action. And in doing so, grow that day, expand that day, and give the value in the way that we can give it. Because the way I give value will be different from how you give value. And therefore, transmute what is our own personal emotional and totalistic energy, our own personal energy, translating that into dollars and cents and accomplishments of goals on the road to prosperity. That's how it works. It's a spiritual thing, and I always say that when you get your spiritual center and you know what it looks like and you've lived it enough so you know how to go back to it if you ever come off the path, that's wisdom. When you know how to go back to the path after you walk off the path, because you're always going to walk off the path because it's a wave. You're a surfer. You got to ride the wave of the flow of energy in the world around you. Ride the wave of your life. So it got up and down. Since you're a surfer, you just got to learn by surfing how to flow in that bit. And you're not going to learn that until you know what you're trying to do. You know that you're trying to understand the flow of the universe's energy in your life. How does that flow? And instead of shutting yourself off to understanding certain things or encountering certain things, you just confront and face with the humility of being able to learn and being willing to learn from every experience, good or bad, instead of calling it bad. Stop calling it bad, because if it was bad, it could bear no good fruit. And a bad experience oftentimes bears some of the best fruit because it puts you in a predicament to grow the greatest and grow the farthest. So actually, what's bad is truly good. This is the duality you live in. And when you rid yourself of certain illusions in your mind that you hold in your mind, innately, you will innately know exactly where I'm talking about and know and understand where I'm coming from. But until you have ceased giving your life force energy into certain illusions, there's no way for you to truly understand what I'm saying to you. Those illusions that tell you this one thing is good, this one thing is more important than this one, this is greater value than this one is this and this. These things, these are all thoughts, and all thoughts themselves must come to an end. Just like all things born must also die. All things that live a life must also die a death. This is the world and universe you live in. When you understand this, then you stop thinking that these things are separate, but they really are two sides of the same coin. And that for every night that I sleep, there's a day that I must be awake. And there's deeper game to that, but we're not going to that. So confronting yourself is crucial.